They had to live in dens. They were driven into the caves of the earth, of whom the world would not worthy. You may be seated. On December the 7th, 1941, 353 Japanese planes flew over the Hawaiian Islands. The radar that did pick them up mistaken them for something else, and they flew toward the Hawaiian Islands, to a place that we know is Pearl Harbor. When these planes attacked, the Imperial Japanese Navy fighters on the aircraft, the task force of 6 aircraft carriers, they sent what was called the first wave to be the primary attack, while the second wave was to attack carriers as its first objective. There were submarines, sub-submarines, but the problem during this attack, which is kind of strange, is America was upset because there was no declaration of war declared. Well, what had happened is they sent it, but they sent it late. And was not yet all the way translated. But the Japanese attacked in 2 waves. A U.S. Army Raider 136 nautical miles misidentified them as USA bombers that was on a mainland mission. During this attack, the USS California, USS Maryland, USS Oklahoma, USS Tennessee, USS West Virginia, USS Arizona, USS Nevada, USS Pennsylvania were all attacked. The first group targeted battleships and Air Force carriers. 49 bombers armed with 800 kilograms or 1,760 pounds of armor-piercing bombs, organized into 4 sections. 40 bombers armed with Type 91 torpedoes. The second group targeted Ford Island and Wheeler Field. The third group that was planned was going for Hickman Field, Wheeler Field, and Barbers Point. They bombed Pearl Harbor. One ship had 216 men aboard. It went down with every last man. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it may be the Arizona. One ship is still there because they could not raise her up. Every dead person that died, they left. Am I right, Brother John?
Yes.
They bombed every ship that they could find. They bombed. The attack had 183 planes that took off. 6 planes failed to launch, they learned later. At 7:48 Hawaiian time, with 353 planes, they attacked. Men aboard the ships woke up to sounds of alarm, bombs exploding, gunfire, bleary-eyed, sleepy men. Men who died in bed, died getting out of bed. Guns went unmanned. Only a quarter of machine guns. Only 31 army batteries got into action. And the ships went down. 90 minutes after it began, the attack was over. 2,008 soldiers were killed. 710 others wounded. 218 soldiers and airmen who were part of the Army until independence from the Air Force was formed were killed. 364 wounded. 109 Marines were killed, 69 were wounded, 68 civilians were killed, 35 were wounded. In total, in 90 minutes, 2,403 Americans died, 1,178 were wounded, 18 ships were sunk and ran aground, including 5 battleships. All of Americans killed or wounded during the attack were non-combat, given the fact that no state of war was declared. May I say this morning, we are at war. We, the Church of the Living God, is at war with the enemy. The enemy has declared war on the church. California, USS California was hit by 2 bombs and 2 torpedoes. The crew might have kept her afloat, but was ordered to abandon the ship. Burning oil from the Arizona to West Virginia drifted down. The Utah was holed twice with torpedoes. Oklahoma was hit by 4 torpedoes. The last 2 were above the belt. If I'm not mistaken, John, isn't that the line where water is above the belt on the ship, the mark, which caused her to capsize. The Maryland was hit by 2 40 centimeter shells. The Japanese concentrated on the battleships because they were the largest vessel present. Though they did not ignore other targets, they torpedoed the light cruisers, 2 destroyers, bunkers, the light cruiser Raphael, Vesta, Honolulu, the St. Louis. They attacked to destroy. We are at war. And the enemy is trying to catch you while you are asleep. We are at war. And the devil is not going to tell you when he is going to attack. But he is going to, and he is attacking when you least suspect it. We are at war. He is sending his dive bombers, and he's attacking the targets that are most crucial to the church. He is attacking the family of God. He is tackling members of the church. He is attacking leadership in the church. He is bombing your ship of prayer. He is torpedoing your ship of Bible studying. He is destroying your ship of fasting. We are at war. Make no mistake, we are in a fight for our spiritual lives. We are being attacked by the enemy. Roosevelt stood up and said, this December the 7th, 1941 will be a date in infamy. It will be a date that will never be forgotten because it drew us into a war with the people that at first we tried to negotiate with. When they took, I believe, the Mandrey Islands, they tried to talk. Let me say, honey, when you fight the devil, you can't talk your way out. When you fight the devil, you'll never be able to negotiate with him. You won't be able to trust him on any promise that he makes. You and I, we are at war. Herein, we must realize that the enemy has come for one purpose. That is to kill, that is to steal, that is to destroy the lives of the Christian. The devil doesn't care about your family. The devil doesn't care about your home. The devil doesn't care about your job. All he wants to do is attack, kill, steal, and destroy. We are at war. And here in the scriptures, it read that some of the children of God, they were made to live in caves. They were made to live in the dens. Some wandered about in sheep clothing, trying to stay alive, trying to live, but the devil was persecuting him. Some were burnt at the stake. Some were lit as torches by Nero and burned as candlelight. Some were pulled apart by lions. Some were put on the racks and burnt. Some were destroyed in such a manner. In Fox's Book of Martyrs, they were cut open just lightly and put corn in them and tied down, and the hogs were let loose to eat the corn out of them. We are at war, honey. Don't think that anything that you're going through is a surprise, because the enemy is trying to destroy you. The enemy is trying to kill you. The enemy is trying to take you down by any means necessary. But I want you to know that we are at war. And I'm afraid that the rules of engagement have changed some. There was a time, and Brother John would know this way better than I, that they used to shoot. But now you have to wait till something happens before you shoot. Is that still going on, Brother John?
Yeah.
I guess you got to measure how close the bullet got to you before you can shoot. I love the movie Black Hawk Down, because he says, are they shooting at us yet? Then the bullet got real close and said, yes, now they're shooting at us. The devil's always shooting at you. The devil's always trying to kill you. You cannot pussyfoot around with the devil. You can't play patty cake, baker's man with the devil. We are at war. Oh, church, I want you to know we must wake up out of our sleep and realize that it is time to fight. We must stand strong, because anything and everything that can be shaken is being shaken on the tree. And if it's not rooted, tied up, and grounded in Jesus, it's going to fall off. We are at war. Are your finances being attacked lately? Is the devil pulling on dissension in the family? Does it seem like hell is breaking out more around? Things are getting harder and tighter. Bills are getting up. Have you had that extra money in your pocket? Then while you was going out, the bill came in. Got on your cell phone, tell your wife you got the check, and your cell phone was off. You clicked on the light, and the light just go click, and that's it. Oh, the enemy is finding out, where are you weak at? What's going to rock your world? What's going to bother you? And he's doing all that he can to stir up and attack those areas in your life. We are at war, church. And this is the battleground that we are on. We got to stand still and fight. There is no armor on the battlefield. soldier in the Roman days because he was never meant to retreat, but to go forward and fight. We are children of the Most High God, and we are at war. As we was up in Fredericksburg, I began to read the plaques. I read every plaque. But one of the plaques had a saying, in fact, over on a mini plaques, it said these words, lest we forget. These soldiers gave their lives, lest we forget those who perished aboard the USS Arizona. And I began to ask, what did it mean, lest we forget? That the sacrifice that the soldiers, the Marines, the Navy, and all the other combat troops paid, the life that they lost for a war that we end up winning, but for the freedom that we got in America. And the funny thing, John, I gotta talk to you, is that I looked and said, is this what they fought for? Everybody fighting one another. Everybody's arguing one another. Folks blowing up, folks' children being killed. Is this the America that they saw? And I look and say, is this the church that God died for? Is this the church that he gave his life? That Peter said, don't crucify me like Jesus, but crucify me upside down. Paul said, I'm not afraid to die. When they said, Paul, the time of your departure is now, Paul wrote in the letter, the time of my departure is at hand. But John, I fought a good fight. I finished my course, I kept the faith. Oh, not only I'm willing to be bound for the Lord Jesus, I'm willing to die. Oh, they loved the church so much that they gave their lives for it. What about you? Where are you on Sunday? Where are you on Bible study? Where are you on Saturday prayer? Where are you knocking doors in your neighborhood? Where are you telling somebody about Jesus? What are you doing in this war for the gospel of Jesus Christ? Are you a soldier fighting for the army of the living God? Are you reaching lost humanity? Are you spreading good news to weary hearts and weary souls? Or are you hunkered down in your bunker? Is the enemy attacking you so hard and the shells are exploding that you're staying down? It said in the article that he went after the largest ships because they were the most powerful ships. And he destroyed them first. Oh, church, regardless if the pastor go down, will you keep on fighting? No matter who walks away from the church, will you hold on? Can you stay? What's the black man's name? He was a gunner that was left. I think he managed a gun. Doris somebody. He's from Waco, Texas. And when we were walking on the walk, there was a Victorian there. One of the things was that while they were under attack, he managed a machine gun. No matter what was going on around him, he was fighting. He kept fighting. You see, sometimes when the attack is too strong, we'll quit doing what we're doing. We'll quit praying. We'll quit fasting. We'll quit coming to church when the pressure gets too hard. But the thing about Pearl Harbor is that when men and ships were going down, some of them trying to get the planes off the ground. Some of them were still trying to man the machine guns because they were going to fight. Yes, they knew they were under attack, but they weren't going to give up, give in, and quit. They were going to attack. In this one article I was reading on the plaque, they knew another ship was in danger. And this ship went after that ship and got destroyed but they went because they knew that they had some people down. They had some soldiers down. They had some Marines that was on that ship. And though it cost them their life, they were not going to let them go down. Are we, as people of God, are we just going to give up? Or are we going to keep on fighting? In spite of the problems that we face, in spite of the difficulties, in spite of the hurt, in spite of our heartache, in spite of our pain, there are those that have gone before us and made a way so that you and I might have a chance to the tree of life. There are those that were burnt at the stake. There were those that were fed to the lion. There are those that were cut asunder. But we have a chance to carry on the good news. Lest we forget that Jesus died for the church, that he shedded his blood for you and me. Where are you? I was at Fort Riley, Kansas, and I was asleep in my bunk, and I heard this crash on my door, and I looked up and my roommate Jones was gone. And I went out to the hallway, and he was fighting with another soldier named Divins. They had a lamp, John. Cable TV just came out. And so we had cable TV, and they were getting the lamp. And Jones picked up the lamp and swung it at Divins, and Divins stepped back and said, "Oh, we fighting for real." And I'm thinking to myself, Navi, what did you think y'all were doing? Did you think you were playing? We take that the enemy's playing with us. We act like this ain't a real war. Oh, this can't be. That can't be the devil. Oh, that can't be sin. Oh, no, what's wrong with this? Why can't I mess with that? That stuff is out to kill you, honey. The devil's trying to kill you, and you think he's playing games with you. He's trying to kill you. And I looked at them and I said, I'm laughing because he thought they were really playing with somebody swinging a lamp at you. I don't think they're playing. And my friend Rogelio Toppins from Panama. He's the only person I know, John, that says, you don't mess with Rogelio. He don't say don't mess with me. He called his own name out. But I would never fight with people I was in the army with. I don't think so. They were drinking, they were partying, they came to the barracks drunk. Oh, they stayed up, they were gambling all the time. And I'm saying, if I ever had to go fight with these people, I don't know. We were so soft, we watched the TV all night, got 24 hours off the next day because we guarded the TV. Because it had cable. I said, I cannot see. It snowed on our buildings were 3 stories high. It snowed. They were jumping out the building into the snow. And I'm thinking, I don't think so. Can you be trusted? Can we depend on you? Can God depend on you as a soldier, as a Marine, as a Navy SEAL, a builder, as a CBer? Can God use you? Can God depend on you in this war? If God called you, are you at your post? Are you doing what God asked you to do? Are you going where God asked you to go? Are you being everything God asked you to be? We are at war. Make no mistake about it. What you did yesterday was fine, but we're talking about today. What you did last year was great, but what about today? You can't live on last year's victories. You can't live on what I did for God yesterday. But I want to know, what are you doing for God lately? Are you on fire for God like you used to be? It's funny, and I hope you don't mind me, John, how we always get around with people and we talk about the good old days. Yeah, do you remember when? Do you remember when? Oh, remember when church used to be? Remember how we used to be? Oh, what about today? We always talk about how it used to be, how great it used to be. We just didn't pay attention to all the hell that was going around us, all the problems and all the hurt. We are at war. Have you become a POW and don't even know it? Has the enemy got you caught up and locked up in a sin that you can't get out of? Or are you MIA? Look for you Sunday but couldn't find you. Missing in action. Look for you at Bible study but couldn't find you. Missing in action. Look for you knocking doors but couldn't find you. The one man, I guess it was the Marines, I don't remember all, that he said he got captured by the Taliban or something, 5 years, went off. When Vietnam, in a thing called My Lai Massacre, Lieutenant William Calley destroyed a village. And I got to meet him at the United States Federal Penitentiary, USDB, the Army. I got to walk through and talk. And people said to me, don't join the Army. You'll get yourself in jail. And the guy said, no, you got your own self in jail. You got your own self. All I'm saying, children of God, we are at war. The enemy is flying over. Don't take it as it. Don't take it as geese. We are at war. As I walked down the aisles and saw plaque after plaque of all these people who died. And Admiral Nimitz, he said that he wanted this wall dedicated not just to the Navy, but to every branch of service of people that fought. You see, it won't just be God's church standing up for Jesus. It's going to be churches all over this world that are fighting for the Lord. Are you still in this service for the Lord? Are you still a soldier in the army of our God? There's a young lady, I guess she's old. Her name was Miss Sullivan. She had 5 sons that were on a Navy ship. They made a movie about it called The Sullivan Brothers. But when the ship got bombed at Pearl Harbor, every last son she had perished. She wrote, I believe it was Eisenhower, a letter. He said, my neighbors have told me that my sons are dead, but I have not yet got a word from you. Paraphrase. So I am writing to you to let you know, can you tell me some information? I have been asked to christen a ship. I still would do that. I just want to know about my boys. Proudly, she said, if my sons are dead, they still want me to christen the ship. They will want me to do that. Sincerely, Mrs. Sullivan. This is one of the reasons now that the United States Navy will not put brothers, family members on the same ship from what I understand, because of the Sullivan brothers dying. I want to know, is there anybody here who understand that we are at war? The devil doesn't play. The devil's not your friend. He's trying to destroy. Least we forget. All those who died ahead of us. I had a young man on a hospice in Port Lavaca. that him and I were sitting down and we began to talk about Vietnam. And in the midst of talking about Vietnam, he quit. And he said, Pastor Green, you got to go. Didn't really understand why, but his emotion became so involved that he asked me, would you please leave? Because of the hurt and the pain from being in Vietnam and the people that were killed in Vietnam. Vietnam was never called a war. It was called a conflict. Vietnam lost some major numbers of people, but it was always called a conflict. And I don't know if you've seen when they advertised the wall on TV, that people go up to this wall and they look for names of people that they knew. Because this so-and-so, I knew him. I fought with this guy. I knew so-and-so. Least we forget those who died, that you and I might have a right to sit here and worship God. That's a natural thing. But what about him who died that you might have eternal freedom? Don't forget that Jesus bled and died for you. And if you remember, why don't we see him more? If you remember that he died, I'm not saying you're not at another church or you're not this or you're not doing that. All I'm saying is, if you're fully living for him, if you're walking with him, shouldn't it show? Shouldn't your walk with God show? Shouldn't your love for God show? Shouldn't your commitment to God show? Shouldn't your dedication to God show? Least we forget all those who went before us. When we had our first church, I have a flag that says POWs, MIA, the black flag with it. And I flew it in front of the church. I have probably a 6-foot by 9-foot flag at home. I keep it. I had it in my trunk, folded up on my bed. But as I walked at the War Museum, and I read the stories about those that gave their life, my heart broke. Went on, I think it's the one ship in Hawaii, I think it's the Arizona, that they couldn't bring her up. And everybody that died is still underwater. To think that they gave their life, that we might have a chance to be free. But what good is physical freedom if you're still bound by sin? What good is physical freedom if you're still under the control of the enemy? You can't quit drinking, you can't quit smoking, you can't quit lying, you can't quit adultery, you can't quit fornication because you're a prisoner of war. Oh, I can make it. I don't need the church. I believe in God. I can make it on my own. No, honey, we need each other. We depend on each other. Least we forget. Of the 402 American aircrafts in Hawaii, 188 were destroyed, 159 damaged, 155 of them on the ground. Almost none was actually ready to take off to defend the base. 8 Army Air Force pilots managed to get airborne during the attack. 6 were credited with downing at least 1 Japanese aircraft during the attack. First Lieutenant Lewis Sanders, Philip Rosenberger, Keith Taylor, Second Lieutenant George Welch, Harvey Brown. These got the planes off the ground and they attacked the enemy while he was attacking them. The Japanese lost 55 airmen. 9 submarines, and 1 was captured. Of whom the world was not worthy. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Can we stand? Let us not forget the servicemen who died physically, that we might have this natural freedom. But greater than natural freedom is spiritual freedom. And Jesus died that we might have a chance to eternal life. What profit the man if he gains the whole world and he loses soul? What good is it in the 60s for black people to be able to sit at the counter if their soul's not free? What good is it for women to vote if they can't vote for eternal life in Jesus Christ? Least we forget the blood stained brown of Jesus Christ. He was wounded for our transgressions, and he was bruised for our iniquities. And the chastisement of his peace was upon us. And by God's stripe, we are healed. Where are you today in service for my Lord? Are you missing in action? Are you a prisoner of war? Or are you fighting with everything that is within you for the victory that is yet to come? Roll call is sounding. Yes, there are some of those who are missing. There are some. The young man's name was Private Eddie Slovak. He was the last American ever to be executed for desertion. Nobody really thought he would be shot. Nobody thought they would execute him. His name was Private Eddie Slovak. But they killed him for deserting the army. Where are you? Have you walked out on God? Has the battle been too rough? Has the stress been too strenuous? God still needs you to fight for him. Is there anybody here that would like to resign and not resign? Are you willing to resign?
I have made my decision. I will stand my ground. I will draw a line in the sand. I'm fighting for his crown. With the world behind me and the cross before, I will take my place in
we have any offering to give, it's given. Y'all are dismissed in
And the
Jesus' name.
cross